the balance between challenge and support. And there's nothing like one of the analogies that I was told was you have a top. On one side, it's white, pure, good, perfect. On the other side, black, totally evil, horrible, bad. Nothing's like that. You spin that top, and then you're going to see the gray area. And then you can see the balance.
Hello and welcome to Get Yourself Optimized. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer. It is my pleasure and honor to have Dr. John Bergman with us. He was propelled into chiropractic by a severe auto accident with 2 broken legs, a fractured skull and sternum, along with several organ injuries. He obtained his degree in Doctor of Chiropractic at Cleveland Chiropractic College in LA. And with his extensive knowledge of human anatomy and physiology that few can match, Dr. Bergman's chiropractic practice continues to grow, serving hundreds of families, focusing on corrective and wellness care. He was a past guest, episode number 20, so one of my very early ones, 8 years ago. So great to have you back on the show.
Brother, it's been 8 years?
Yes, since the first episode,
it seems like a blink. Oh my God, thank you so much for inviting me back.
Absolutely. I'm so great to have you on. And, I was under your chiropractic care for a number of years until we moved away. Now we're, at the other side of the country, but, we miss you.
So. I miss you too, brother.
Yeah. So, first of all, if someone has not listened to our initial interview from 8 years ago, can you give the little backstory a bit more in detail around your origin story, how you became the superhero that you are now? It was a dark night, I'm sure, but it's all a gift in the end, right?
That's the greatest way to look at it. Like when I'm working on somebody with really, really health challenges, I say, look, man, this is going to be a gift, and these people could be in their 20s and 30s. It's going to be a gift to your great grandchildren. So to overcome adversity and use that adversity for education and expansion of yourself. And when I got hit by a car, I was a contractor. So I had a pretty practical understanding of the world, and how to identify a problem and correct it. And when I got to, going through the anatomy, physiology, neurology, I had an engineering background. And when I hit anatomy, it was amazing that the body is self-healing, self-regulating, and it's regenerative. And then I thought, wait a second, all the doctors were saying that my knees would have to be replaced eventually. And the other doctors, the chiropractors, were saying, no, it's living tissue. It can regenerate. And you don't hear this. So it was, I was telling a patient last week at my clinic in Tijuana, that no, your knees are alive. They're going to regenerate. We're just going to stimulate the cells and they're going to grow. I mean, all I do is I don't fix anything, but I do educate the patient so the body can regenerate itself. I may take the pressure off the nervous system to get them out of the stress state, and then their body is free to build. Because if you build cells faster than they break down, then that's called health. And if you break down faster than they build, that's called a lack of ease, or some people call it disease.
Yeah. Words are powerful. We manifest our reality through our words. And to call, yourself, for example, a cancer survivor, or to call yourself a recovering alcoholic, or whatever the terminology is, you're labeling yourself, identifying as that thing that you're trying to avoid, and now you're attracting that into, it's the law of attraction. You're a magnet for it.
Brother, physical, chemical, emotional stress. When a patient comes in and goes, "Doc, this pain is killing me," I say, look, stop right there. I said, because words have power. If you say this pain is limiting me, this pain is pissing me off, totally okay. I'm good with that. Okay, but if the words literally do have power. So in order to initiate healing, if you say, "Oh, it runs in my family, it's genetic, it's this." I had a little patient at a clinic in Bangkok, 4 years old, and the parents came in and said, "Yeah, it's a genetic anomaly," and yeah, sure, they were born without the right formation of certain cells, but the cells are still alive. And so if there is damage to the brain, there's a thing called neurogenesis, that the brain, given the right stimulus, can start to regenerate new neurons. So they may have started bad, but to label them a victim and this is what their future is going to be like, that's not true, because the body is really adaptive and can thrive in even the most challenging circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get back to your origin story. So you got hit by a car, you had
Oh,
all these profound injuries. How did you find your way to health, and how did that inform your journey and jump you levels in this video game called life?
okay. I was putting an x ray lab in for a chiropractor. Okay. And this is the week before I was hit by a car. I threw my back out, putting up some of the lead sheets, and he adjusted me. And it was amazing. I mean, warmth went down my legs, but my body functioned better. And this was in a 5 minute adjustment. And he taught me how the system works. And it seems like no one's ever told me about how my body works. And I mean, I'm 30 years old. I should have known this. And he said, John, you're built like a tank. You've got good communication. You'd be a good chiropractor. I said, Doc, there's no way. I've got 6 employees. I've got a cabinet shop. I'm already, set. That next week, I'm hit by a car, radically changing my life. And the medical world saved my life. Thank God. Thank God. And with the drugs, I mean, I'm telling you, if you get both your legs broken, you're going to love morphine. Oh, baby. I mean, instantly gone. Except they were saying it's going to be a challenge, and in a few years we're going to replace your knees. And I didn't know much, and so I accepted their prediction of my future. And I'm
Yeah.
getting adjusted by the chiropractor in a wheelchair with my legs and sticking out. And he's adjusted me, and I told him what the medical doctors told me, and he says, "No, that's crazy." And he said, "Have you ever cut yourself?" Yeah, carpenter. Okay, did it ever heal? Yeah, all the time. And he says, "Well, your knees will regenerate." And so
Mhm.
these two medical professions that I completely respected, one saved my life, and the other one was restoring my life, with completely divergent opinions of how the body works. And then I learned that the drugs that reduce pain, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Advil, Motrin, Aleve, that they were giving me to make me more comfortable, destroys the building block of cartilage. And I thought, that's crazy. So then
Mhm.
I thought, let me learn more about this. And then it was hard to still be a contractor. My body wasn't working well. So I went back to school, and then I got into chiropractic college, and some of the doctors there were saying, well, arthritis happens. And this isn't a chiropractic college, that arthritis happens because joints wear out. And I'd look at 80-year-old cadavers during human dissection, and I'd see no arthritis. And I'd look at 20, 30-year-old cadavers, and I'd say beginning degeneration and advanced degeneration. And that's not true. So arthritis isn't from wear and tear, it's from a trauma. And then you start to realize that it's living tissue. And I experienced regrowth of tissue in my knees, where I could
Mhm.
start bending and moving and twisting and turning, no surgery or anything else. Then I developed certain therapies to get that. And I got so into human dissection that, because I mean, just learning it out of a book was really hard. It didn't make any sense. But when I got there, it was like, tactile learner, visual auditory learner. When I touched the body, it was like amazing. I knew how it worked. So
Mhm.
so this is the median nerve. This is where it comes from. And it was so exciting to see, how the organ systems function, how these bodies who had died, there's actually a tissue on the bottom of the stomach called the greater omentum. And this is a curtain of tissue that goes around in any area of the damaged intestinal tract. It surrounds it and heals it. And I'm looking at these bodies that have died, and they were still in a stage of healing and regeneration. And it just opened my mind. And being older, going back to school, I wasn't real susceptible to just mindlessly accepting what everybody told me. I was more of a critical thinker. So when we'd see an x-ray of somebody, and one of the doctors who God bless him, this was his belief system. He'd say, yeah, see the degeneration here? That's from old age. And I'd say, well, there's no degeneration up here. Aren't they the same age? Those kind of questions aren't going to win you friends.
Yeah.
But the critical thinking and asking why it is not there in the medical
Yeah.
world, particularly when you have high blood pressure. Why do I have high blood pressure, doc? Well, we just don't know. I mean, the number one cause of high blood pressure in the medical text is idiopathic. I think a root word idiot. They don't know. So the cause is unknown.
Yeah. Well,
And
let's
that's like
talk
a
about
lot of
that for a minute. Like root cause, that is such a critical phrase. And what I've found from my spiritual studies in recent years is that everything stems from a spiritual root cause. So somebody has chronic, let's say, neck pain, and turns out that they were decapitated in a past life, and this kind of spilled over into this life. It was unresolved trauma from a past life. And that might, for some people, sound really out there and woo-woo, but probably not for my listener. They've probably left a long time ago if this was too out there for their comfort zone. But this idea of a spiritual root cause, it doesn't even have to be a physical trauma or ailment. It could just be a birthmark or some sort of a cellular mass that's benign or whatever, and it connects back to past life or something that is has more of a spiritual root cause. So what are your thoughts on that?
You're delving into a reality that the majority of people are unaware of. It's like when I talk about viruses, okay, and creating infection, and viruses don't really exist. They're proteins, they're little messengers. When you talk about spirit or past energy, because we are energy, and energy can't be created or destroyed, only transformed. When you look at the absolute evidence of a psychic ability, or people that go into a dream state, like the sleeping prophet, Edgar Cayce, where they can go into a different level of vibratory energy and be able to do things that are unexplainable, other than they're connecting with an energy of, you could call it a past life or past experience, or some awareness of an energy that occurred in the past or in the future. Mm-hmm. Because what's time? And when you find out
Time's
that
illusion.
time isn't a constant, time's dependent on speed. So, and when people go, oh no, dude, this hurts, I can't think of that. Well, the satellites have to function at a different time than the people on the earth. Otherwise the GPS wouldn't work. So, it's when people say, well, it's bullpucky that crystals vibrate. Well, no, have you ever heard of ultrasound? We're passing electricity through a crystal. Causing it to vibrate. So this is delving into a world that's next generational stuff. I mean, there's people in this generation that are understanding it. But when I talk about healing, like just talking to this guy today, I have mast cell activation, I have postural orthostatic tachycardia, I have this and this and this. And I say, no, your body's responding correctly. When you have a chronic state of emotional and physical stress, you have to identify the cause. And if you're looking that you could be connecting to an energy in the past, and when you look at all of the reincarnation and meditative practices, they say the more you remember a past life, it detracts from this one. So you don't need to forget it, but you do need to be aware of it. It's like in just anytime there's an emotional charge, if there's or an event that causes an emotional charge, that can run your life. But an event without an emotional charge is called wisdom.
Right.
So these past experiences that you have, once you're made aware of the existence of that, or the awareness of that, then you can incorporate the wisdom of that into your life, and then it won't negatively affect you.
Right.
And just like, the muscles that run to the top of the neck down to the sacrum, they're not under conscious control. So physical, chemical, emotional stress, just like a cat, a Halloween cat goes like that, humans are the same way. So if you're experiencing any kind of emotional or perception of stress, those muscles are going to go up and give a physical appearance of, or a physical representation of a thought or an impulse or an impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's next level stuff, man. It's like I I can't talk about, say, hey, look, viruses don't exist and they don't cause disease. Minds are going to close and say, no, what about, the flu or measles, or and if you say, look, your body is more energy than matter. And how you express that energy is going to express in a physical form, and this is how you make it through the majority of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
That's that has to be addressed though when healing. That's why, I mean, I always put 5 keys to health. Prayer and meditation is equally as important as nerve supply, equally as important as nutrition, equally as important as sleep where your body regenerates. And when you look at every study on the planet, when you're involving prayer in healing, it works better. So by adding that spiritual aspect of a connection with a power greater, getting in that vibrational aspect, tissue production occurs in a better, faster, more effective process. Duh.
Yeah. Yeah. And group prayer also has a profound impact. In fact, you can, uh, this might sound really crazy, but you can change the course of a hurricane with group prayer.
Not only is that you can measure it. They had a group of meditators, and they meditate for certain areas or communities. And I think there was one study, might have been back in the 80s, where a group of meditators meditated for Washington D.C. to lower the crime rate in July. And the police chief says, there's no way it's going to work. If we had a snowstorm, maybe that would lower the crime, but there's no way this is going to work. And sure enough, they meditated and the crime rate dropped. I think it was like 25 or 30%. And then you got the Dr. Emoto's studies on water and crystal formation and how far will prayer and thought go. Like you're talking about changing the hurricane or weather. Absolutely. They would, group of meditators in Japan focus their energies on a bottle of water in San Jose, California. And what they didn't know is that there was a test jar of water in Southern California. And then they compared the differences and found radical differences in the crystal formation of both waters. So thought
It's amazing.
is faster than the speed of light. Oh yeah, and the speed of light isn't constant anyway. Neither is the gravitational force is constant, even though you got to make it a constant in order to do certain calculations. There's so many variations on the physics that we know, and then the quantum physics. Like you get one electron spinning one direction, and separate the other one by 3,000-4,000 miles. Okay, change this one, and that one instantly changes. Instantly, not speed of light. Instantly.
Yeah,
You can put essential oil
Einstein
on the
called
bottom
that
of the
spooky action at a distance. Quantum entanglement. Spooky action at a distance.
And best explanation ever. And what did Einstein say? He said, look, you got energy and matter, but when you break it all down, it's really only energy.
Yeah. Matter is just energy slowed way, way down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple other studies that were amazing. One is Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about how the power of thought was able to affect a random number generator statistically significantly enough to consider this to be a scientifically valid study. And then some Qigong or Tai Chi master was affecting the decay rate of americium. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's slightly radioactive. It's inside of smoke detectors, and because it's the radioactivity rate is so predictable, and because it's not dangerous to humans, because it doesn't travel very far. Uh, that's why we can have it in our homes. But he was actually able to, this Tai Chi master, change the rate of decay, which couldn't be changed any other way, through like temperature changes and all sorts of things. This was the only way they could change the decay rate, was through the power of him sending chi energy to that radioisotope. Amazing.
Think of the future when somebody is presented with a health challenge and they bring up the energetic aspect of the body. Baby, that's when healing occurs, because you have so many doctors that are implanting suggestions in the minds of people, and their body is an expression of, the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors they're under. But if they perceive, it's like witch doctor stuff. Okay, this feather will add life to you, or this feather will kill you. And both of
Yeah.
those, the placebo and nocebo effect, okay, the body can accept it. But also certain things can maintain that energy. I mean, just like the Curlian photography, where you can see energy coming out of a leaf that's been cut from a tree. I,
Yeah.
why isn't more studies being done in that? Because there's no profit in
Yeah, yeah. It actually goes against profit. It's like, no. Let's keep a blind eye to that, and let's focus on the drugs, the pharma. Um, and I was just thinking about the term prognosis, and I looked that up. And the definition of prognosis is the prospect of recovery as anticipated from the usual course of dis-ease.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like fortune teller stuff. So I'm going to predict a demise for you in the next 6 months, and here you go. Take that with you, and please close the door as you leave.
100%. I do doctor trainings at both of my clinics, and when and patients come in with this sentence, I'm sorry, prognostication, prognosis, and the job of a chiropractor is to optimize that health 100% as best they can. So patients with, I've got two patients with bullets in their neck and they're quadriplegics. What's that person's potential? 100%. I'm not in the judgment business. Okay, I am in the neurologic physiologic business. I do the best I can for that person, and their body can recover, because there's a book of miracles. It's called the Book of Miracles, Spontaneous Remission of Incurable Diseases. And they're not. So when somebody says, look, this disease has a 90% death rate. Okay, good. You might be in the 10%. So what's the difference between the 90 and 10%? Okay, is it perception? Absolutely. Then you go back to the witch doctor stuff. So every patient, whether they're born, I've got several kid patients that have, half the brain born, didn't form correctly. They're called hemicephalic, severe injury. What's that kid's potential? Let the spirit inside decide. One of my kid patients, and this is interesting. They were born with part of their brain malformed, and they were supposed to die after 5 years, and God bless, I mean, the mother did everything. I mean care, spiritual, not because the medical doctor said, look, just give her a whole bunch of drugs, she's just a vegetable, she's going to lay on the couch. No, this gal was experiencing life, and she took that child who was horribly deformed to a psychic. And since we are co-creators of our world, we are designing what's around us. Said, why did you choose to be born in a body so deformed? And through the psychic, she said, well, it's easier to transfer to the spirit world, because that's the other half of us that most of us are unaware of. And it made so much sense that because you could see there's joy. Even in a lot of the patients who are in chronic spastic states or seizures, you're going to see they have glimmerings of beauty and life and joy and love, and they can experience it. But it's such an intensity. Like when you see patients with like Down syndrome, it's like they took all the judgment away, and there's just love and acceptance and joy. Yeah, it's a different view of the world.
Yeah. 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 Speaking of Down syndrome, there's this beautiful movie. It's a coming of age story of a boy with Down syndrome. And one of my guests from this show was the executive producer of this movie. The movie is called The Peanut Butter Falcon, and the executive producer is Aaron Scotty, amazing guy. So what I read before a few years ago is this concept of a victim soul that chooses to enter this life with a terrible diagnosis or prognosis, or a terrible tragedy that comes to them, and they do that to soak up a lot of collective karma. And it could be that somebody wants to incarnate into a body that is challenged in order to be closer to the spirit will, or to make that transition easier, or whatever. It could be that they're wanting to help all of humanity by soaking up a lot of karma. I mean, there are a number of reasons why someone might incarnate into a body that is broken, or has tragedy or trauma in, affecting it. So, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a cultural acceptance and brilliance. There's I've got some patients in southern Mexico, and they're studying ancient cultures. And there was a culture, I don't think it was the Olmecs, but it went from South America to Canada, 6,000 years. They had no wars. They had, I mean, it was living in harmony. But anybody that got ill or sick or was damaged or hurt, they were thanked by the caregivers, because now they had a chance to give back, to give that love and caring and service because of that trauma, or there's always a balance. I mean, Helen Keller, blind, deaf, in at bamboo school in Thailand. I go there I go to Bangkok 3 times a year. To do a lot of education stuff. And I work at this one bamboo school, this one kid, cerebral palsy, deaf and blind. And he was thrown in a trash can. Oh. And this was 18 years ago. And the kid was supposed to be dead again, 4 or 5 years old. And he's 18. But now in this community where there's 80 children, and his name's John. And I went in there, adjusted him, I showed a couple of neurologic stuff to help him get more awareness. We got more tactile stimulus to help his brain. But to see all of these kids, one kid tells the other, have you checked John's diaper? Or have you checked his shirt? Okay, have you done this? And it's not a burden. It's just one of the ways that you can express love for your mankind. And so he's in that karmic, life where now people are giving to him without asking for anything back. And that generosity and love, is that what his spirit really needs? Was he always working and giving towards everyone, and now he's in a position where he can't give anything except love and a little bit of attention and spark? There's beauty in everything. There really is. It's just you've got to look at the difference, at the balance between challenge and support. And there's nothing like one of the analogies that I was told was you have a top. On one side it's white, pure, good, perfect. On the other side, black, totally evil, horrible, bad. Nothing's like that. You spin that top, and then you're going to see the gray area, and then you can see the balance, and that's wisdom. The kid with cerebral palsy, born deaf, blind, and contributing. I mean, he's 18 now, and there was uh, two kids that because this is a refugee camp. It's right next to Myanmar or Burma. There's a war going on there. It's been going on for 75 years, and two kids came to this camp at the same time, and it's just amazing to see what would be considered extreme challenges, and it really you know balances your life. I mean, you start to look at your challenges as less. There's such a positive to that massive negative. There is always a balance. It's like when a parent or a child dies. When a parent dies, does that make the child a little bit more independent? Is there a little bit more of an appreciation for the life you have?
Yeah.
There's always that balance.
Yeah. You got to train yourself to see the good in everything. Yeah.
Or to see the
Rabbi
lesson.
Ish Gamzu said famously, "This too is for the good," and he was famous for saying that all the time. And he saw good everywhere. You got it. Just like in every person, you got to see the spark of God in everybody, even if they are just kind of a wart in your life.
Oh, you mean God never does anything to you? He does everything for you.
Yes.
So me being run over by a car, that was for me. Yeah, it was. It was. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Yeah. I know it's
took my
hard.
life on a
When you're going through it, that is not
yeah.
something that you want to hear your friends and family tell you. That does
Yeah.
not feel
This is
very
a good
emotionally
thing.
intelligent to say, yeah, this is for your greatest good. But if you're seeing that and saying that about your experience, that's great. Poor emotional
Yeah.
intelligence if you're saying it to somebody while they're going through hell.
I know it's interesting. Me and my oldest boy, we were talking about Job, and it was so unfair. I mean, as the story is he was really really wealthy and healthy and family everything, and everything was taken away. And when he asked God, he says, "Well, why did you do this?" And God kept answering in parables. Well, you would ask why the wind blows, or why the tides turn, or why this or that, and the point of it was there's a lesson beyond this that you can't see right now where you are. So there is something of not a benefit, but something that adds to the world. And here we are 3,000 years later talking about it. And we're still having a discussion with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So do you ever ask God why something is going off the rails in your life, or why trauma or tragedy is hitting you or somebody else, or any kind of question? Are you asking God these sorts of things?
Never why,
Yeah.
but always what.
Hmm.
What am I supposed to do? Like, what's the best course of action? What's the meaning behind this? What's the purpose?
Yeah.
Okay. And when I get this from patients, and they'll say, I'm really worried about this, or I'm really concerned about this, or I'm worried about this, and they're really in a hyper excitable state. And I'll say, well, look at all the religions in the world. They say the more you worry about stuff, the better it turns out.
Hmm.
And they'll look and they go, well, I said, you're right. I'm kidding. It says worry doesn't add a minute to your life. Give your worries to God. Okay. Trust in God. Get that attitude of gratitude. So I ask what all the time.
Yeah.
But the why, I'm figuring that the universe and God knows more about what I'm doing than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's why when I'm adjusting someone, I pray over every patient. Although I can't say that to every patient because they would find it weird. But if I got this universal intelligence and I'm going to use it, if it can guide my actions to say, yeah, I want to adjust here and not here, or this is the more important, man. So that puts you in the zone.
Yeah. This analogy was given to me from above in the last couple of years, and it's that our brains are like dumb terminals, or our physicality. It's like we're the dumb terminal, and we're accessing universal intelligence, which is the supercomputer, and all the answers, all the wisdom, all the knowledge, everything is available to us. And occasionally I watch a psychic show or something like Life After Death is a Netflix show with Tyler. What's that psychic's name? Tyler Henry. And I remember this one scene where he couldn't remember a word, and he was, instead of him racking his brain, he just asked for it, and boom, it just like popped. And I couldn't remember what that word was, so I just asked right now, and it was elope. He's trying to figure out what's the word for when you get married just on a whim or whatever, and you just disappear. And he's like, oh, right. And he asked, and boom, there it was. And I just couldn't remember it right then a minute ago when I was telling the story, and I asked for it, and I just got it too, eloped. So that's how our brains work. And you could try to, a materialist might try to kind of figure this out on a material kind of physical level. Like, this is how the memories are stored and different memory gadgets in the brain and blah, 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 blah. But really, if you just let go and let God and just know that you are accessing something much greater than you, then it just takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in that Bible. What does it take to open a door? Oh, you got to knock. How do you get something? You got to ask.
Yeah.
And it seems too simple. It's like when we talk about healing. No, the body's doing the best it can right now, given the environment. You change that, then the body can regenerate. Then the disease is really an adaptation. It even though people have been suffering for years, and I mean mentally, physically, spiritually locked in, but when you get this awareness that everything around you is in harmony, everything is always changing, and people are really, particularly nowadays, concerned about things that they have no control over. And when you approach it with an attitude of gratitude, when you look inwardly and outwardly, inwardly to yourself and outwardly to God, and the spirit, or however you want to word it, you can see the harmony in the chaos. You can see that the pendulum, even though it's swinging off to insanity, it's always in balance. It's like, when I tell my patients, what happened after the Black Plague? Oh, Renaissance. Mm-hmm. So we may be in a different time now, but by gosh, the Renaissance is coming.
Yeah. But then the challenge and the opportunity is, when you're in the middle of the plague, to see the hand of God in it, and to see the beauty of the, everything that's happening.
Yeah, which is really hard, man. When you're in the trench and bombs are going off, you're not going to say, thank you, God. You're going to say, please get me out of this. Like my dad, in World War II, he said, there's no atheists in foxholes. So, it's to see it at the moment, no, but it may take hours or years to see the wisdom and appreciate.
Yeah. And you can work, this is a muscle that you can work, though. You can get better and better at remembering God in the middle of the chaos or the challenge, and then, wave to him and ask for help, and to be in gratitude even during that is something that you can get into your muscle memory, so to speak.
He's always there. And he doesn't get what you want all the time, but he will get you what you need.
Yeah. Something even
like
better is in the works, right? That's why you're not getting what you want.
Yeah. Yep. Amen.
Yeah. So how do you ask God that what question and not the why question, and get the response back? What's your process?
Usually, because I'm a human, so my brain comes up with all sorts of barriers and try to come up with the solutions myself. And then I think of gratitude. So with the attitude of gratitude, I'm grateful for this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard sometimes. But then, I'll do diaphragmatic breathing to get oxygen. It also changes my physiology, allows my brain to focus a little bit more away from, that animal self of where I want to respond to the instant. But gratitude gets me out of it 100% of the time. And
Yeah.
it's just like, thank you, God. What am I supposed to learn from this? If I'm trying to do this myself, it's not going to work out. So I need your help. What am I supposed to do? What's the best thing I can do? How can I be appreciative for this? So gratitude is my go-to, 100%.
Yeah, and part of gratitude is being grateful for the challenge and not just for the obvious revealed blessings, but the unrevealed blessings, the things that look like an absolute, you know what show, shit show, right?
Okay, in that instance, when bombs are going off, it's hard to change your mindset into thank you, God, for this torture you're giving me. That goes into the Job thing. It's falling back into prayer, giving an attitude of gratitude for your life, and then think about the things that you're grateful for, because not you're on that top and you're looking at only the black side. Are you grateful for the wisdom of your grandparents, or the love of your parents, or that good friend of yours that's always there, or most of the times there, or that good meal you had? So little bits of gratitude can build up and get you out of that distorted view of reality. Because when you're only looking at one side of pain and physical dysfunction and financial or physical or all these different ruins, being appreciative for the little things, and it sounds too simple, but that builds it up. Like you were saying, it's like a muscle of gratitude and love and appreciation. You got to work that thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and it works out better.
So some of the ways to work that. So in Judaism, the first thing you do when you wake up, before you even get out of bed, is to thank God for returning your soul to your body. And
Wow, how beautiful.
I know, and then to pray over your food or your drink before you consume it. And going back to Dr. Emoto and his water crystal experiments and food experiments, where he bless different food items and leave them out to either rot or not, all depended on whether that food item or the water was blessed or cursed through words and intentions. And so by consuming your food and drink with one, gratitude, and two, the intention to transmute that consumable into something that's super healthy, even if it's a Twinkie. I'm not condoning eating Twinkies, but if you're eating something that's junk food or processed food, you can improve its effect in your body by blessing it before you consume it.
100%. And what you eat becomes you. And thanking God, getting that attitude of gratitude, it's good. I mean, from an anatomy perspective, it stimulates the rest, digest, and repair. So you're going to be able to process the nutrients if you have no awareness of the spiritual nature of it. But if you're aware of the energetic nature of it, then man, praying over it is going to allow you to get the real nutrients. It's like comparing a vitamin C with an orange. The
Mm-hmm.
orange always wins out because there's magic in there, bioflavonoids, phytonutrients, all this stuff that binds to it. We're in that reductionist society where okay, what's the one substance in garlic that protects you? No, it's the energy of the plant. I mean, why is a blueberry blue? Because it's adapted to its environment and adapted to all of these things that have tried to harm it, like funguses. And you take that in, you're getting that energy out that you can express. I mean, it's praying over food. it should be like basic.
Yeah. And I was on a mastermind trip, Maverick Mastermind, Yannick Silver's mastermind. I was on a trip to Belize with my wife and son. And one thing that we witnessed that was really beautiful is with the Mayans, we went to their one of their villages, and they were picking leaves and things to make medicinal tinctures and stuff like that. And they would bless and actually ask for permission from the plant or the tree or whatever before they picked it. Can I pick this leaf? Yes. Okay. Then they picked it. Amazing. Like, imagine that level of consciousness when you are harvesting. That goes into the item, that goes into the food, that goes into the medicine. It's beautiful.
We at my clinic in Tijuana, we do stem cells, but we only use umbilical cords, no abortions or anything like that. But it's living tissue.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been discarded, but before we inject it in the patient, okay, and we ask you pray over this, because this is living tissue that's going to go in and become you and help you. So if we can put that energetic aspect in it, utilize it.
Yeah.
I mean, 500 years from now, what we're talking about now is going to be common practice. They will never be giving you a chemical to alter your physiology that has a myriad of effects. No.
Yeah, I don't mind all the side effects and the long list and in the commercial. Just ignore that part.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we'll talk
amazing.
really fast so you don't pay attention, and I'll show you pictures of puppies.
Yes. Don't pay attention to what's happening on my other hand. Look over on this hand. The misdirection trick. Yes. One thing I want to point out too that I think is just so beautiful about Judaism and this whole thing of blessing the various miracles that are happening throughout your day is every time someone goes to the bathroom who's observing Judaism, an observant Jew, they will say a prayer after they come out of the bathroom to thank God for the pipes in their body working. How cool is that?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, imagine if everybody on the planet that said, when you greet each other, you said peace. When you're leaving each other, peace. What a beautiful blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And a beautiful way to start a conversation or to start a connection. Shalom. How cool is that? Yeah. Instead of, hey,
what's up?
Hey, what's up? Shalom, brother. Yeah. That's way better, man.
It is better. So, let's say, just hypothetically, somebody has bone spurs. So they go to their chiropractor, get the full kind of X-ray, scans and all that, and the chiropractor is kind of scaring the patient, ready to sign them up for a package, right? A big multi-$1,000 package. Well, I got some bad news for you. You've got bone spurs. It's degenerative. This is, if you don't treat this is going to get a lot worse. Fear. And I can't say that it's going to get to 100%, but at least we can make it 40% better. But you need to be on a year-long program. Here, sign here, and I'll take your credit card. That's a type of a chiropractor. Certainly not you. But what would you say to somebody who's having that kind of experience with a chiropractor?
It's going to be a challenge, okay, because the chiropractor is working on a basis, because bone spurs are actually not spurs on the bone. Okay, it's really an adaptation to a past trauma. And it's also called degenerative disc disease, degenerative joint disease. Here's the thing, it's not a disease. It's really from a trauma, and it's an adaptation. Yep. It's also in a category called arthritis. which means joint inflammation. Here's another misnomer. It's a non-inflammatory joint condition. So it's called a disease, degenerative disc disease or degenerative joint disease, and it's not a disease. It's from a trauma. And the bone spur is literally forming there to help stabilize the joint. So it's not a negative process. It's actually the body regenerating or adapting to this past trauma. So the ignorance of the chiropractor to explain it has it's damage, it's disease, it's progressing, instead of saying, no, your body's responding correctly. And all of this stuff can be regenerated quickly. And based on the amount of degeneration, I can tell the patient the minimum amount of time it took for this body to change in this adaptive configuration, because the body is adapting correctly, and to educate the patients on how to get the body to adapt in a better harmonious state. And then people get it. It's just if they could go back to teaching chiropractic, which is the body is self-healing and self-regulating, and we're supposed to remove the interference so that it allows the body to heal. Now, I'm an old school chiropractor, learned from really old school guys, where I've got to take an X-ray, identify a problem, and then take another X-ray after 30 adjustments or a series of care, and to document what's being fixed. And what do I tell my patients? If I'm not making an effective change, I'm not doing my job. Because the body, once you put it on that new pathway, it has to regenerate. Bodies only do two things: they build or break down.
Yeah.
Just like plants, no plant stays static. And human bodies are the same way. They're not static. They're going to regenerate and build and break down. And without the breakdown process, you can't build. So we get them on a process of this healing, and then we monitor it. And I tell them, because we go in there, get very aggressive care to show a change, and get them less and less care. And I say, look, I want to see you really less. It's not because I don't like you. It's just that this is it should be just a minor part to put you on the right pathway again, so your body can regenerate and regenerate healthy. So you're 100 years old playing pickleball with your great grandchildren with a good functioning brain.
Amen. Yeah. Now, if somebody wants to work with you, specifically you and not your team, is that even possible these days? And what if somebody lives very far away from Southern California? Can they still benefit from your wisdom, not just by watching your YouTube channel, which is amazing, and you have big audience there, 800,000 subscribers or something like that? That's awesome. But what if they want to work and learn from you in a deeper way?
Well, we're developing a website that should be up the end of this month, and we've got the YouTube. We've lost 600 videos since 2020. Shadow banned, deleted, everything else. I've got 2 clinics and 3 areas that I work. Clinic in Huntington Beach and in Mexico. I'm in Huntington Beach Monday and Tuesday, in Mexico Wednesday and Thursday, and I'm in Thailand for 30 days, 3 times a year. And I'm developing a clinic over in Thailand and education area, so I can start training doctors. And I'm developing the same thing in Mexico. So 3 times a year, I'm in Thailand. This next one coming up, I'm going to be in June, mid-June to mid-July, and then it's mid-October to mid-November. And I just got back last week. Literally last Friday, I flew back. And I also do online consultations. So a lot of people will fly in, because our protocol, if the case is accepted, we do 3 adjustments a day, 4 to 5 days a week. And then within 2 weeks, we're getting post x-rays and post nerve scans and post live blood cell analysis. So people will fly in from, everywhere for
like
2
Dubai
to 4
and so
to
forth.
6
You have people
weeks.
from all over the world.
Oh, it's such a blessing. It's so cool when you find out that we're all the same. I mean, literally, I've seen every country in the world, to hear my report translated into Portuguese or to Mandarin, it's so beautiful. And I had this one group from Somalia, but it was in like a different area of Somalia, and they had this village dialect that they had to translate it to this one gal, and it was like, and it had like clicks and stuff. It was so beautiful. Oh my God, I wanted to record it. But and then I do online consultations. So the consultations are either half hour or an hour. That's what I did this morning with a patient from India. Just a sweet couple, amazing. And then with the guy from Lebanon this morning as well. So
Amazing.
the consultations they can hook up on the drjohnbergman.com site. And my clinic is in Huntington Beach and Tijuana, and we're developing the one in Bangkok, Thailand.
Yep. And the website for the chiropractic is bergmanchiropractic.com.
Yep. And that'll, when you go to the consultations, it'll send you to the Dr. John Bergman site, and the Dr. B VIP site is the private site, but you have to have a private site in order to put uncensored information on it. So a lot of my videos now, because I still do 2 videos a week, you have to divide it into what can get by social media and what you think maybe won't.
Right. So then you have to post that stuff on Rumble or some other platform that's not
and it still doesn't. The weird thing is, since I'm a board certified, now the board is pulling information off of Rumble, BitChute, everything else to go after my license. So
that's fun.
Even though well, yeah, I mean, if you want to control a country, you take over the king. You want to control a population, you take over the trade organizations, then you control everybody underneath them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm doing a video on my current challenges.
Wow. Which are blessings, actually.
Which are challenges equal blessings. Oh my God. God never does anything to you. He does stuff for you. That's another fallback.
Yeah. These are all disguised blessings. Bring it on. Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll put all the links into the show notes, including your YouTube channel and all that. And I think so highly of you, and kudos on all your success, and thank you for all that you do in the world to reveal light and help people heal.
Buddy, last time I talked to you, you didn't have a kid. You got a 4-year-old. I mean, this is so cool. I'm so excited for you. You experienced the world through your kid. This is just, it made my day. I mean, talking to you and getting the information out is fantastic. But God, if you were close, I'd hug you.
Well, he is a miracle. He is an absolute miracle. And more on that another time. But thank you so much. And thank you, listener. Go out there, make it a beautiful week, reveal some light in the world, and do good. And we'll catch you in the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.